Welcome to the magnetic caves. These caverns are formed by strong and somewhat unstable magnetic fields from deep within the earth. The fields are strong enough to be seen crackling through the air and pulsing through the galena blocks that cover the caves. Some of this ambient energy comes from pillars of scarlet and azure neodymium, which will attract or repel any iron or netherite items in close contact. There are also Tesla bulbs, which can electrocute any mobs that get too close and can even charge creepers. Incorrectly handling one of these bulbs can trigger an explosion deadlier than an end crystal. The inhabitants of the magnetic caves are robots who seem to have gained some level of artificial intelligence, and most of them are hostile towards anyone who dares enter their domain. Day 1 started out with locating the cave and collecting the usual basics: wood, stone, and food. I stumbled upon some landlocked ocean ruins, providing easy access to suspicious gravel for cave tablets and treasure maps. As I beelined toward the magnetic caves, I borrowed food from villagers, looted a ruined portal, spent too long searching for a buried treasure, and even found a jungle temple. Finally, I located an entrance into the magnetic caves in a savanna biome. Since practically every mob in these caves was hostile to players, I decided that building a base above ground would be safer. I did get a visit from the new neighbors during construction.
Well, may I be the first to say that this is awkward? Oh my word. There's a notor up here. Brother, get out of my front yard. Get.
That was a notor. Notors are the only passive mobs native to the magnetic caves, but they can still threaten your safety. They will scan foreign mobs and display a hologram of that mob to someone else. If a notor shows a player hologram to a hostile mob, the monster watching the hologram will start chasing that player. Besides the pillager patrol and the notor, I was able to work practically uninterrupted until my new home was complete. While out gathering sand one night, I spotted a lava pool nearby and decided it would be the perfect place to make a nether portal. Once my house was done and dusted, I made a speedrunner's portal and decided to see where I would spawn.
Where are we gonna end up? Oh, jeez. Okay. That properly freaked me out there for a sec.
I had a bit of a heart attack on my first visit since it looked like the portal had immediately dumped me in lava. I was safe for the time being, but my paranoia prompted me to construct an entire platform beneath the portal just in case. I broke my iron pickaxe, so I returned to the magnetic caves to go mining. Magnetic caves are chock full of veins of galena iron ore, so I figured this would be the quickest way to get it. This is when the cave's inhabitants wanted it to be known that I was not welcome here.
Gosh. No. Why do we already have to get by boundary? Ow! Oh man, those things hit hard. Oh man, oh shoot.
These robots are called bound droids, which consist of two parts: the heavyweight, which is carried by a walking winch. The winch can crawl around on the ceiling and attack its victims by repeatedly dropping the heavyweight on top of them. Right after defeating the bound droid and claiming its heavyweight, I spotted the two deadliest mobs of the magnetic caves: a Teletor and a Magnetron. Magnetrons are the elite guardians of the magnetic caves. In their neutral form, they roll around on their iron heart like a wheel. Once agitated, however, their bodies will supercharge with magnetic energy and pick up surrounding blocks to create their own armor. This armor increases its health from 15 to 40 hearts, and picking up blocks like anvils and stonecutters will allow it to deal more damage. Teletors are extremely deadly due to their unique ability, which can be compared to telekinesis. Each Teletor wields an iron tool, anything from a hoe to an enchanted sword. Since they can hover, attacking a Teletor with a melee weapon is nearly impossible, and their ability to strafe through the air makes them harder to hit with projectiles. As luck would have it, the Teletor that I bumped into was wielding a sword, and I barely managed to clamber out of the cave without dying. Unfortunately, the vengeful Teletor followed me home and annihilated me on my own front porch.
Ouch. Where'd he go? I missed. I'm gonna die. Yep, there I go. Dang it.
After finally dispatching the floating menace, I tried returning to the caves where I had to deal with a Pharaoh slime. Pharaoh slimes are similar to normal slimes in that they can split into smaller versions, but the smaller ones can merge back together. The bigger the slime, the more health it has and the more damage it deals. Most terrifying of all, they are difficult to escape because, like many of the other inhabitants of the magnetic caves, they can move in ways that defy gravity. I managed to get rid of the ferro slime with a crossbow, but as I started climbing deeper into the cave, I ran across another magnetron, or possibly the first one from before. This quickly became a battle I knew I couldn't win, so I was forced to flee back home for more supplies. I came back, ready to try again, but he must have fortunately despawned. This left me plenty of time to secure more than enough iron for a new pickaxe. Back in the nether, I followed my nose to the edge of a basalt delta, and my luck at finding nether fortresses did not disappoint. I made my usual rounds of slaughtering the residents for blaze rods and gathering nether wart before limping back to base on 1 heart and not even enough stamina to sprint. Once I had refreshed myself, I combined iron ingots and raw scarlet neodymium to create scarlet neodymium ingots. Surrounding one of these with arrows produced 8 seeking arrows. As their name suggests, these projectiles can lock on and curve toward the nearest entity. Then it was back to the nether, this time to search for a bastion. Bastions are the only vanilla structures that can provide magnetic cave tablets, and I still needed to fill in the entries for the magnetic caves in my cave compendium. I did eventually find a bastion, and after one unfortunate attempt with a piglin trap...
Uh-oh. Dang it! I'm dead.
And a few close calls.
Oh no. I'm on half. Where did he come from? Like, where did he come? Oh. Back off. Oh my word.
I grabbed 4 magnetic cave tablets before leaving the nether behind me. Since the section of magnetic caves that I lived above was quite small, I figured that the main caverns were still to be found. I began digging its staircase deeper into the earth until I found an abandoned research facility. This facility sat on the edge of a gigantic cave system, but I had run out of night vision potions. Besides, I was just wearing some pathetic gold armor, and considering all the hostile mobs I would undoubtedly be up against, I knew that venturing further in would be a stupid idea. So I began focusing on getting some gear upgrades. Using one of the telecores I collected from defeating teletors, I crafted a Galena Gauntlet. This item allows you to wield an iron tool like a teletor does. You can attack mobs and mine blocks from up to 20 blocks away. While wandering around the savanna biome that I was living in, I stumbled across a village and trapped some of the locals to trade with later. I needed a Fletcher for arrows to convert into seeking arrows, and an armor for diamond armor. The reason I hadn't crafted any iron armor at this point is because, as you might have guessed, it probably would have done more harm than good. Wearing all that iron would have left me vulnerable to being jerked and tossed around by the pillars of neodymium within the caves. Now I was faced with the painful task of turning 2 of the villagers into zombies, finding another pillager scouting party to get the bad omen effect, triggering a raid, getting absolutely whopped a few times, and finally buying a full set of diamond armor for dirt cheap. Once I had diamond grade armor to protect me, I decided that it was time to start searching for an underground cabin to get a spelunkery table. With the table, I translated all the magnetic cave tablets as well as one of the primordial tablets I found at the beginning of my travels. I decided to make a primordial cave map, thinking that getting a primitive club would be helpful against the magnetrons. That trip took me on a couple of unexpected detours. I stumbled upon a pillager convention.
Oh my word! Oh jeez! Why are there so many of them? Like, what is this? Okay. Okay. Hold on. I need to take a screenshot of this. Oh goodness gracious! All right, here we go. Crouch. That's why. Oh, say good night. Okay, that was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. What the heck?
Made a couple new friends, and spent way too long searching for a buried treasure. So was the trek worth it? Probably not, but we won't dwell on that. After that whirlwind of a trip, I bought enough enchanted bows from my Fletcher to combine for power 5 and upgraded my sword to sharpness 2. With a batch of night vision potions, I was ready to tackle the large cave system I had found before. I found more research facilities with random levers and buttons, lots of iron, and lots of monsters. I was able to kill my first magnetrons and claim their iron hearts. With one of these hearts, I was able to craft a resistor shield. It blocks damage like a normal shield, but it also has a unique ability. If you hold shift while blocking, the shield will give off magnetic waves that damage enemies. If you spike the red side into the ground, it will draw enemies closer, while spiking the blue side will repel them. I used some of the notor gizmos I collected and crafted a hologram projector and a holocoder. You can use the holocoder on the hologram projector to create an image of yourself, or right-click a mob with a holocoder to project their image. The hologram can even be rotated if the projector is powered with redstone. My next item to craft was a bit more expensive and needed 3 components. The first was the magnetic quarry, made from an iron heart, some azure neodymium ingots, and a few blocks of scrap metal. The second part was 4 magnetic lights, and the third was the magnetic quarry smasher, which was made from a repurposed heavyweight. All you have to do is place the magnetic lights in a rectangle and put the quarry next to the border. When you see bolts of energy running between the lights, you can set the quarry smasher in the marked area and it will automatically activate. It can instantly break any blocks that a player can mine in survival mode, and the magnetic quarry will eject the blocks that are broken. All I needed to do was add some hoppers and a chest for a collection system, and the whole operation was completely automatic. Now my attention turned to magnets, which are crafted from 5 ingots of scarlet or azure neodymium with a cap of iron on each end. Just like their natural components, the azure magnets repel metal blocks and items, and the scarlet ones will attract them. You can even use their respective ingots to see and increase the range of their magnetic field. With these mechanics, I crafted an entire secret room beneath the floor of my house where I could keep my storage chests and work tables. Although I said that wearing iron armor around magnets is generally not a good idea, it does have some cool benefits. If you wear iron boots on scarlet neodymium pillars, you can climb across the walls and ceilings. By making a tall stack of scarlet neodymium in front of the cave entrance, I could go straight up without having to climb the steep hill. My final project was a short roller coaster that carried me through the upper portion of the caves. To boost the speed of the minecart, I crafted some magnetic levitation rails. These rails are made with azure neodymium ingots and can allow your minecart to travel faster than on normal powered rails while floating above the ground. My adventures in the magnetic caves were now over, and that meant one thing. My next location would be the last of Alex's caves and the end of this series. However, had I known what terrors awaited me at my final destination, perhaps it would have been better if I had just walked away.